So the PlayStation Store's holiday sale week 4 is underway, and Sony is making it relatively difficult to actually navigate through this sale and find out which of these deals are new. So I've done the hard work for you guys. I've dug up 10 new deals that are awesome. Hopefully at some point Sony can figure out a way to make the sale a little bit easier to navigate for us, the consumers, so we can actually, buy the games and give them our money. But hey, for now, I've got all the deals for you guys, and again, all 10 of these deals are a part of week 4. So without further ado, let's get right into it and let's start things off with Assassin's Creed, the Ezio Collection. That is 70% off for $14.99. Alongside the Ezio Collection, a bunch of the other Assassin's Creed games are on sale, like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, AC Unity, AC4 Black Flag. But I really saw Assassin's Creed, the Ezio Collection as the best deal of the bunch. It's 70% off at $14.99, and what you get is the entire Ezio trilogy. That includes AC2, AC Brotherhood, and of course Assassin's Creed Revelations. Many Assassin's Creed fans harken back to AC2 as the best of the entire franchise. I don't know if that's a little bit different now since the series has moved to a different direction with AC Origins and Odyssey, but when you look back at the traditional AC experience, the Ezio games were fantastic, and Ezio is seen by many as the best main character in all of the Assassin's Creed games. That's a debate we can get into for another day, but $15 to get 3 games, 3 platinum trophies, it's a great deal. And whether you're looking to experience Ezio's story for the first time or revisit the trilogy, it's a great buy, especially at this price. Moving on from that, we also have a Crash Bandicoot The Insane Trilogy, still holding up at a relatively high price. It's 50% off for $19.99, but what you get here is the original 3 Crash Bandicoot games, including Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back, and Crash Bandicoot Warp. 3 awesome platformers that really still hold up today. Now that $19.99 price point is a little bit high given the fact that this game at this point is around 18 months old, but what you're getting is still some awesome platforming experience, and again, whether you're going into it for a nostalgic experience, it obviously offers that, but if you just want quality platformers, you'll have that here with the Insane Trilogy as well. Moving on from that, Capcom has also discounted a bunch of the Dead Rising games. Dead Rising 2 specifically is 70% off for $5.99, which I think is a pretty good deal. Mechanically, does Dead Rising 2 still hold up now in 2018? Yeah, I would honestly say so. You're getting some great gameplay here that really emphasizes that word fun. Is the story anything to write home about? No, this game isn't a narrative gripping experience, but the gameplay is on point, and the fact is, it's only $6, and that's a perfect price for Dead Rising 2. I should also mention you can get the Dead Rising triple pack, which includes the first Dead Rising 2, and Dead Rising 2 Off the Record. That's available for $14.87, so that's not a bad pickup either. Moving on from that, we've got Diablo 3 The Eternal Collection for $19.79. Of course, this includes the base game as well as the expansion, and what that means is you're getting a lot of content for your money. Whenever I recommend Diablo 3, I have to go with saying the fact that you'll have to clear out some dates if you want to experience Diablo 3 at its fullest, because this is a game that you can easily spend north of 100 hours on. 100 hours is really just scratching the surface. Oftentimes, Diablo 3 is a game that you'll constantly go back into, and you can invest 400-500 hours. It's a game that always warrants your playtime, and the Eternal Collection being $19.79, if you're strictly looking at this from a value perspective and getting the most hours out of your dollar, it's not going to get much better than Diablo 3 The Eternal Collection. Moving on from that, as we are coming up on the release of Devil May Cry 5, I thought I would give a recommendation to Devil May Cry 4, the special edition. Specifically, the Demon Hunter bundle is 75% off for $8.99. Now, Devil May Cry 4 was released a long time ago, all the way back in 2008, so at this point, some of the gameplay elements don't hold up as much, but if you do want a quality action-adventure title, DMC4 is still a pretty good title. I should also mention that Capcom has discounted DMC Devil May Cry, so if that's a game you want to check out, I highly would recommend that one, but that one's not canon to the entirety of the Devil May Cry story. That's kind of its own story altogether, so I just thought I would give DMC4 the recommendation. Both games are very good, and honestly, from a quality standpoint, I probably would give DMC Devil May Cry the edge. I do believe it's a little bit more expensive at around $14, so either way you go, you're getting a pretty good action-adventure game depending on how much you want to spend. Moving on from that, Ubisoft has also discounted a couple of the older Far Cry titles, and Far Cry 4 and Far Cry Primal. I really want to recommend the bundle, because Far Cry 4 I believe is going for around $12, and then Far Cry Primal is $16. You can get both of those games, FC4 and FC Primal, for just $21. So the bundle here is probably the way to go. If you just want to pick up one game, Far Cry 4 for $12 is a really good buy. And Far Cry recently has been getting more and more attention, especially with the impending release of Far Cry New Dawn. That's shaping up pretty nicely and looks to be a standalone expansion to Far Cry 5. However, that's going to be $40. Far Cry 5 is still holding up in price, so why not go back to some of the older Far Cry games? And one thing that people have always said about Far Cry is that the games aren't evolving that much from game to game, so if you've yet to experience FC4, it's a great starting point. And Far Cry Primal obviously has a little bit different of a spin to it, being set in the Stone Age. It's a nice change of pace for the Far Cry franchise. However, it's still fundamentally fundamentally retains everything you know and love about Far Cry. So wanted to give a recommendation to that. Again, the bundle is a really good option at just $21. Moving on from that, wanted to give a shout as well to Final Fantasy IX, the digital edition, 40% off for $12.59. Now, of course, this is an older game, and the digital edition of this, yes, while visually it does look a little bit better, it's not a complete overhaul. However, many gamers harken back to Final Fantasy IX being the best game in the entire franchise. Yes, some gamers would rank it even above Final Fantasy VII. I don't know if I agree with that, but Final Fantasy IX is definitely among the best in the entire franchise, and that says a lot. The storytelling, the characters, even the gameplay still holds up rather well. I really wouldn't recommend this to newcomers of Final Fantasy because maybe you can't get past the visual style. However, if say you played Final Fantasy VII and you really enjoyed that and you want more Final Fantasy, FF9 is a great buy. If you're looking to revisit Final Fantasy IX, getting the digital edition on the PS4 is a great option, and at $12.59, still a little bit expensive given that this is a 20-year-old game, but Final Fantasy IX is still a tremendous JRPG and easy to recommend. Moving on from that, Capcom has also discounted a bunch of the Resident Evil games, so I have to give a mention to Resident Evil 4, which is 60% off for $7.99. Many look back on Resident Evil 4 as being the best game in the entire Resident Evil franchise. However, you do have to note when talking about Resident Evil 4 is that this is the game that really took Resident Evil to more of the action-oriented playstyle. Resident Evil 3, 2, and the first Resident Evil did definitely have a bigger emphasis on the horror. Don't get me wrong, this game still retains that ambiance and survival horror elements. However, it does have a bigger emphasis on the action gameplay, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Overall, Resident Evil 4 is still a very good game, and it holds up rather well, being originally released on the GameCube. The PlayStation 4 version is running at full 1080p with an increased frame rate, so that's definitely nice. And overall, Resident Evil 4 is definitely a high-quality title, so if you want to get into the Resident Evil mood ahead of the release of the Resident Evil 2 remake, checking out Resident Evil 4 would definitely not be a bad idea. $7.99 is a great price for it as well. Moving on from that, I want to give a mention to Vampire, which is 60% off for $23.99. This was one of the most surprising games of 2018. Honestly, going into the launch of this game, I was fully expecting it to be a complete train wreck of a game. Wasn't expecting something great, and was Vampire a perfect game? No, it really lacked some of the fundamental gameplay elements. However, the narrative is very strong. The storytelling, the character development, those elements this game absolutely nails. And with some recent updates also giving you the option to put a lesser emphasis on the gameplay, that is a great option when playing this game again if you just want to experience the story. The gameplay isn't offensively bad by any means. However, it really does lack when you compare to how strong the narrative is. $24 is still a relatively high price point for this game. I would have loved to see it a little bit under $20, and then it would be an easy recommendation. However, if you've been eyeing this game for quite a while, it's been holding up in value as well. $24 is the cheapest that I've seen it for on the PlayStation Store, and it's definitely not a bad buy. As someone that did drop a full retail price on it, I had my enjoyment out of it, and if you go into it open-minded, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun with Vampire. And lastly, we've got the Shenmue 1 and 2 collection, which is 34% off for $19.79. Now, of course, 2019 will finally bring with it the release of Shenmue 3, a game that was announced all the way back at Sony's E3 press conference of 2015. However, Shenmue is, of course, a very story-driven experience, so if you go into Shenmue 3 without playing Shenmue 1 and 2, you are doing yourself a grave disservice. And guess what? Shenmue 1 and 2 both tell excellent narratives as well. Now, this is a game that, more so than Vampire, really lacks from a gameplay side of things in 2019. A lot of quick time events here, and one of the strengths of Shenmue was from a technical standpoint all those years ago when it was released. Of course, now in 2019, the technical acumen of this game really doesn't hold up as much. However, the narrative and storytelling is still super strong, and if you just want to experience Shenmue 1 and 2 ahead of Shenmue 3's release later this year, Shenmue 1 and 2 collection is a great way to do so, and you really do owe yourself to play through these two games before the release of Shenmue 3 if you are excited for that. And again, the storytelling is still on point with Shenmue 1 and 2. $19.79 is a little bit high of a price point considering that it did release at $30, only a 34% off discount, but still would say it's pretty good given that you are getting two games here. So that's gonna conclude this video. Again, it's pretty hard to navigate the week 4 offerings for the PlayStation Store's holiday sale, but we've dug up some great deals and some new deals that you guys can check out. Of course, we've been covering this sale in its entirety, and we hope you guys have been enjoying that. And that's gonna conclude this video. Make sure to sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.